Sitting here today, after all you've come to learn as a witness, do you believe Purdue's conduct in marketing and promoting OxyContin in Kentucky caused any of the prescription drug addiction problems?
They say behind every great fortune is a great crime. And trust me, the Sacklers, they're no exception. This family wasn't just pushing a drug. They were peddling addiction like your favorite candy bar. But this isn't just about OxyContin. This is about the man who redefined how drugs are sold. Meet Arthur Sackler, a guy who took pharma from the doctor's office to the boardroom, where every pill had a price and every life had a cost. But the biggest cost of all? The millions who became collateral damage. Arthur didn't just sell OxyContin. Actually, he didn't even live long enough to see it. But what he did sell was the story. He built the playbook for Big Pharma's greatest hits. If doctors hesitated, he showered them in perks. Fancy dinners, trips, you name it. And behind the curtain, Purdue Pharma, led by his nephew, Richard Sackler, was rewriting medicine's rules. Welcome to a world where the cure was deadlier than the disease. Arthur Sackler wasn't just another businessman. He was the godfather of pharmaceutical marketing. In the 1950s, he revolutionized the way drugs were sold, turning doctors into salesmen. He pioneered direct-to-doctor advertising, and soon enough, his tactics had doctors prescribing drugs not because patients needed them, but because the perks were just too good to resist. His most famous success? Valium. It wasn't just a drug, it was a lifestyle. Arthur's genius wasn't just in selling a cure for anxiety, it was selling the dream that life could be better with a little pill. He laid the groundwork for what would become Big Pharma's most dangerous weapon, convincing doctors that more pills meant better care. Arthur might have passed away in 1987, but his marketing legacy lived on, passed down to Richard Sackler, the man who took it to the next level with OxyContin. Fast forward to the 1990s, and Richard Sackler is at the helm of Purdue Pharma. He's not just Arthur's nephew, he's the man who turned OxyContin into a blockbuster drug. Oxy wasn't just any painkiller. It was marketed as the miracle drug for pain relief, a 12-hour non-addictive solution that would change the way doctors treated chronic pain. The problem? The story was a lie. And Richard knew it. Purdue Pharma, under Richard's leadership, claimed that OxyContin had a less than 1% chance of addiction. But behind closed doors, the Sacklers knew this wasn't true. Richard spearheaded a relentless marketing campaign, pushing doctors to prescribe OxyContin for everything from back pain to minor discomfort. Purdue's sales reps were taught to downplay the addiction risks while boosting the benefits. It was Arthur's marketing strategy on steroids.
There is no question that the marketing of OxyContin was the most aggressive marketing of a narcotic drug ever undertaken by a pharmaceutical producer.
Here's the kicker. Purdue didn't just mislead the public. They manipulated the science itself. Richard Sackler and his team cherry-picked studies to convince the FDA that OxyContin was safe. The FDA slapped a label on Oxy that read low risk of addiction, and Purdue took that stamp of approval and ran with it. One study showed that OxyContin's time-release formula would last 12 hours, but in reality, many patients were back in pain after just 6 hours. To keep the pain away, they took more pills, higher doses,
it's a cycle.
more frequent.
Pain, pleasure, again and again. Well, this circle is our existence. It is the very essence of what it means to be human, to be alive. But if we place ourselves right there between pain and pleasure, then we have changed the world.
And just like that, patients were addicted, even when they followed the prescription. Doctors had no idea that what they were handing out was turning their patients into addicts. Richard Sackler knew, but instead of pulling back, he doubled down on marketing. So, what was OxyContin replacing? Before Oxy, doctors used opioids like morphine and Percocet to treat severe pain. Yes, they were addictive, but they were also well-known risks. OxyContin was supposed to be the safe alternative, something that wouldn't lead to addiction. But Oxy was just morphine repackaged. The only thing new was the lie about it being safer. Richard Sackler knew the public feared addiction, so he marketed Oxy as a long-lasting solution. One pill for 12 hours of pain relief. But that promise was empty. Patients were doubling doses to make it through the day. Purdue knew this, but they kept pushing Oxy onto doctors and patients alike. In the end, it wasn't a better painkiller. It was just a more addictive one. By the early 2000s, OxyContin prescriptions were everywhere, and so was addiction. Patients who trusted their doctors to help them manage pain found themselves hooked on a drug that wouldn't let go. From 1999 to 2019, the opioid crisis claimed over 500,000 American lives. Communities were ravaged, families torn apart, and while hospitals struggled to cope with the growing epidemic, Purdue Pharma's profits soared. And where was Richard Sackler? He was sitting at the top, collecting checks. The Sacklers didn't just sell a drug, they sold addiction, and America paid the price. But as the death toll climbed, the Sackler family found a new way to protect their image. When the lawsuits came knocking, Purdue Pharma was ready. They paid billions in settlements, but Richard Sackler and his family walked away with their personal fortunes intact. They avoided jail time, protected by a wall of legal defenses. In 2021, Purdue Pharma declared bankruptcy, but the Sacklers? They had already stashed away billions. And while Purdue crumbled, the Sackler name was still being plastered across art galleries and museums around the world. They used philanthropy to clean up their image, donating millions to cultural institutions. But for the families who lost loved ones to addiction, no museum donation could ever wash away the blood money. So what now? The Sacklers might have paid a financial price, but the opioid crisis is still claiming lives. Their role in the epidemic can't be undone, but the fight for justice isn't over. If you believe the Sacklers should face real accountability, hit that like button, share this video, and make sure this story stays alive. Drop a comment if you think it's time for Big Pharma to pay for its dirty secrets.
Sitting here today, after all you've come to learn as a witness, do you believe Purdue's conduct in marketing and promoting OxyContin in Kentucky caused any of the prescription drug addiction problems now plaguing the Commonwealth?
I don't believe so.
Sitting here today, after all you've come to learn as witness, do you believe that Purdue's conduct in Kentucky has led to an excessive or unnecessary amount of opioids being located throughout the Commonwealth of Kentucky?
I don't believe so.
Do you believe that any of Purdue's conduct has led to an increase in people being addicted in the Commonwealth of Kentucky?
No. No.